everybody. Thank you for Cured Whey Cheese Class 101. Push down here. And I have a wonderful panel. Jason Blanchette. We got Maritza over here. We got Caroline. And we got Ginny over here. But don't adjust the dial because trust me, I don't get any prettier. Okay. Jason, I would like to introduce you first. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Sure, my name is Jason Blanchette. I work for Epic Wine and Spirits. I was in the restaurant industry for quite a long time before I worked in distribution. So I've known Michael for quite a bit, and I'm excited that he allowed me to come and take part in this webinar. So Epic Wine and Spirits is owned by Bill Foley and the Golden Knights. So hoping to resume season shortly and
Go Knights!
Get back to the playoffs. So I'll go over a little bit about wine shortly after everybody introduces themselves, and we'll talk about the wine that we're going to feature with the cheeses, with just some regionality and some talk about the descriptions of what you should be tasting between the cheese and the wine.
Okay. Hi, my name is Caroline Velasco. I'm from France, Michelle. So I moved from France 6 years ago, and I've been working with cheese. And I'm new to Cured Whey. I'm starting in January, and I just love it. And I want to share with you my passion with cheese.
All right, we have some really excellent cheeses selected for you. Obviously, you have them at home. We're going from right to left. So we have Pont de Savoie, we have Oma, we have Canne de Capra, we got Fleur de Maquis, and we got also one of my favorites. You don't know my favorites, but we also got the Bavarian Blue. Nice blue cheese, triple cream whey from Germany. And as we're going down the line and talking about the cheeses, we got to introduce and talk about each one of them. So take the time and cut up some of the cheeses. We also have, of course, this wonderful bread from Gio from Pizzeria Manzu that we just picked up. It's one of his newest ones, his little ciabattas. And we thought that this would be some really nice bread along with the cheeses.
One thing I would recommend for everybody to do is, if you have the option to can the wine, I would go ahead and do that now. As the wine develops over the next hour or so, it's only going to get better with a little bit more aeration. You don't have the decanter, roller, bowl, any of that. Just to soften some of those tannins, more better to be a more tannic varietal.
Well, I think to start out with, we should go ahead and talk about the wine first. So everybody knows why we chose that wine and where the wine is from. So, Jason, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. Before I became part of the wine side of the restaurant business, I was a server for most of my life, and I had some great tuners and a few master sommeliers. And I always remember one of them kind of guiding me in what's your thought process, and how your palate develops, and what people normally like when they start, and what they eventually grow to. It's just like when you're a kid, you like mac and cheese and hot dogs, and then you grow up, and all of a sudden you like great cured beets that you get here at Cured Whey, artisanal sausages, and pasta bolognese. I'm on a diet, and everybody's cooking at home, it's killing me. But wine is that way as well. And, everybody usually starts with a Cab or a Chardonnay or a Riesling, and they're so excited about finding wine that they really love, and they stock their arsenal in their wine cellars. And they eventually, bottle after bottle, especially during quarantine, you get a little bored. You want something a little bit different. You want a little strange. So this is one of those wines, especially if you're a Cabernet lover, you can kind of gravitate toward it. Kind of open a little bit more of your palate and go in a different direction. So this is from Alicante in southern Spain, southeastern Spain specifically. One of the closest, largest towns is Valencia. Valencia is really known for paella. Great pairing. If you're going to cook something a little bit later, you want to go out with the cheese. Paella is perfect. Just do beets, ribs, veal treats, hamburgers. You're vegetarian, lentils, hockey, tortellini, Russian risotto, anything that's got that purple night. So this wine definitely showcase. For sure, as we go through these cheeses, we'll give a little bit of an idea of why each one pairs with this wine specifically. You could surely go in many different directions on all these. You can get a different wine for all of them, but this wine kind of transcends. It's one of those top cured grape varietals that you don't see that often. It really is only grown in Spain, France, which you would see at Bondol, which is a Rome, which one of our cheeses is from. A little bit in the United States, mostly in Paso Robles. It was actually a 100-point wine that came from there that featured a little bit of Mourvedre. Australia is a big producer as well, but it really is more of an old world style wine. It's very difficult to grow. It generally takes about 10 years before it gets its fruit on the vine. Normally it's about 4 to 7 before you've got some phenomenal vintages and you also have a very good wine grower. 7 is average though, but 10 years is a long time to wait for crop to grow before you can even start to make wine. And you've got to age it after that. With all of that considered, wine from this region is an extreme value. This wine specifically is a 90-point wine. James Suckling, wine advocate. A 90-point wine is $15. It's almost heard of. You can probably find $8 wines from this region at 80 points. Points aren't everything, but they're a little indicator of kind of the style of what's going on. This specific producer is brought in by Jorge Ordóñez, one of the best specialists for importing wines from Spain. He was the first to bring Albarino into the country in 1971. You've seen the success that has had. This was just brought into the country in 2018. Small family owned, all estate grown. They dry farm, which is very unusual for this region. It's a very arid climate. It's hot, cold at night, mountainous. Farming is not easy in this region. And the dry farm is, like I said, almost unheard of. The topsoil is only about 2 or 3 feet deep. So if you don't water, you could lose your crop. It's a very dangerous chance to take. But this specific winery found that they were able, kind of like in Priorat, that the vines actually struggled and went down about 20, 30 feet so they could find the water table. So that produced a more hardier style. And you're going to start seeing more people dry farm in this region. And, it's just a great wine. Like I said, as we go through, you'll kind of get a little bit of a story onto why the wine matches with these individual shapes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody has any questions, obviously you can type it on in. I kind of just went over a few broad things, but if you have specifics like wood aging or determining the vine aging, the vines on this wine are about 35 years old, which is another thing that you will not normally find for wines at this price range. Some of their wines are over 60 years old. And it's kind of like if I can equate vine age to how wine develops, it's just like us as humans. 4 to 7, 10 years old, you're a little kid. You're sarcastic, you're temperature tantrums, not quite sure what you're getting out of grapes. When you're in your teens, you're a little bit dorky, a little bit off balance, not quite there. Sometimes certain teens regress. Some are a little bit more mature on their age. But, as those vines get older, the wine becomes more complex. The farmer has a better understanding of everything. Really has an option to showcase something as special as this.
Okay. Yes, the dry growing, the roots going down into 20 feet, 15, 20 feet. That's been a technique down there for many, many years. And that's why some of these wines have all these incredible flavors and distinct flavors. So, but anyway, Caroline, you want to talk about Tome de Savoie as our first cheese?
Yes, that's the first cheese. And so the Tome de Savoie is the oldest cheese in Savoie. And so as you can see, so it's the washed rind and I'm gonna explain how to cut it because most of the people doesn't know how to cut it. So this cheese, it's a cow's milk and the rind is gray because you have the mold is growing on that beautiful rind and then they brush the cheese. So you usually start to cut like this.
So you cut it in quarters and then you start writing to cut from the top.
Yeah, and then the thing is, everybody needs to have an equal part of the rind. So you start it that way. And then when you get to the back of the cheese, you could do it that way. That's the way we cut the cheese in France. Well,
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you
Listen
can
to
see,
you.
yeah. So as you can see, you could have an equal part of the rind because if you cut all that the cheese, in the same way, you end it with only the rind. And well, with all those beautiful cheeses, we eat the rind because it's a nice balance between the paste in the middle and all the earthy, yeah, the earthy flavor of the rind. So please eat the rind, and you will enjoy because um, the rind and the paste in the middle, and of course with the beautiful wine, everything is gonna be like, I mean, amazing.
So we had a couple questions come in. Someone asked about temperature of serving wine, and the other one was about the oak treatment. Most wines that are red should be served around 55 degrees. If you have it at room temperature, before you're going to enjoy it, put it in the fridge for about 10 or 15 minutes. It should bring it down a little bit. If you have a wine cellar, obviously, it's 55. The oak, there is no oak in this wine. You do see some producers in this region using French oak, or even American oak, but generally, this wine is very tannic. It can be very aggressive in those tannins, very, very dry, just from the grape, the seeds, the stems, the pits. They do their best to mitigate that, and they stem rigorously. They sort, they gravity feed, they do pump overs to reduce reduction. But they age about 8 months in stainless steel. They find that they're getting a better product, a better, easier drinking wine with softer tannins from using stainless steel rather than using
Well, this wine will be back in stock. Right now we're sold out, but the wine will be back stock on what, Friday in a week? Yep, Friday in a week we will have it back in stock, and the bottle should be right around $18, between 18. Maybe we even do a discount, a special because of the class. So please come in and ask us for it, and we can even pair it with some of the cheeses so you can enjoy more of that. Tom de Savoie,
Yeah.
Tom de Savoie normally has a fat content of about 20 to 40%, and obviously from the Savoie region of France. And tell us about the process.
So the Tom de Savoie. So when you have the curds, I mean, it's a pressed cheese, and they put the cheese on the wooden shelf, and they turn the cheese very regularly. And of course, uh, with the wooden shelf, I mean, all the the bacteria you have on the wooden shelf goes into the cheese, so that make the flavor of the rind. And then you have that cat fur who grows on the cheese, and then they brush the cheese, and that's the natural process. So you have the flavor of the cheese go from the rind to the inside. And the more it's aged, the more you're gonna get that earthy uh, flavor on the cheese. That's
Can you see it all?
Yeah.
Right there on the rind. Please make sure that you look at that, smell it, touch it, feel it, and you can really get the co-op. Some of the wooden boards that Caroline mentioned, of course, they're being already centuries old to really have this incredible aroma and the right bacteria. And even when they use a new wooden board, they usually go ahead and go through a process of aging this board and seasoning this board.
of course in the mountain in France, you usually have this cheese with the nice charcuterie. So you could pair that cheese with like all the prosciutto, the salami, jambon de Bayonne. I mean, yeah.
So what I would recommend is actually go ahead and touch the cheese, feel it, squeeze it in your hand, and then actually smell it. So you get this incredible aroma of the center, but also of the wine by itself. Jason, why do you think that this wine goes particularly well with this cheese?
I mean, this is from the region of the Rhone Valley in France, and so there's another winery, or many wineries, I should say, but the wine region of Van Loel features Mourvedre as well. They migrated there after the popularity of Alicante and Cologne. And so you'll see it in Chateauneuf du Pape, but you'll also see it 100% either in a rosé or still red wine from this region. So regionality and wine hearing and cheese and food notes are going to go really great. But I also thought when I tasted this one, you know, there's a rustic note to it. It was like kind of like a wet straw, or like, you know, just after it rained, like pine needles. It had a vegetal note. It's a regional pairing for sure, but there's definitely some herbal notes that this wine matches up well with this cheese. You know, this area is right on the coast for the wine, so there's a little salinity in the grapes in a sense as far as pairings go. So anchovies and sardines, and when I smell this wine, I definitely get a little bit of that. I don't know if you do as well, if it's something that's typical for the wine, but there's definitely, you know, some saltiness to it.
That's the saltiness, absolutely. You can definitely taste it go on in that, and I feel absolutely with the wine. It just gives it the right acidity. The wine has the right acidity and a really nice, pleasant flavor. When you warm up the cheese, the flavor even comes more out as the cheese gets warmer. By the way, I really miss you all, okay? This is so different talking to you via camera, and we're actually looking forward. Jason and I were just talking about it, of doing the next class 6 feet apart in the warehouse. Okay, so that's going to be pretty soon where we're going to go once we're allowed to do this again and gather. And we're going to do the cheese class in the warehouse to give it a little bit more of a rustic. So we're looking forward welcoming you all.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's,
For
you know,
sure.
it's tough to gauge, you know, your audience when you can't ask questions. So please, you know, send us questions. We'll answer everything. You know, normally within a few questions, I can gather, you know, pretty much the level where everybody is in the class. And, you know, Michael, you know, as well as these, you know, it's just, you know, a few things that I think everybody on the other side, could be on many different levels. So if you have questions, you know, if we're not getting technical enough or being too technical, just let us know.
In regards of what goes well with the cheese, well, obviously, I would definitely go ahead and recommend some bread. Here we go. Nuts, fruit. We can do dried fruit. You can do fresh fruit. That's the one thing that always tastes really well. Different marmalades and compotes that goes really nice with the fruit. Caroline, what do you suggest?
Well, I suggest charcuterie. That's what we do in France. We have a charcuterie and cheese boards, and we just it's just a snack, or it could be a meal, you know, for us. We eat cheese because it's cheese, and yeah,
It's so filling
yeah,
too.
yeah. So, and of course, the crusty bread. I mean, for French people, it's no cheese with
Without bread.
without bread.
That's-
You cannot.
Absolutely. And it's
Yeah.
very important that you get a good bread. Make sure that a good bread goes along, a nice rustic bread that goes with the cheese. Obviously, with pretty much every cheese where you can either spread it on or just really just nibble on it while you're sampling the cheese as well. So that's very important.
Yeah, you know, in France, when we don't know what to do, we just put, you know, cheese on bread, we put that in the oven, and ta-da, the green salad, and that's the dinner.
Yes. And especially, I mean, it's possibilities what you should enjoy with the cheese. I mean, honeycomb goes really well with cheese, different types of fruit. And it's again, what do you prefer? What do you like? Just taste simple. There's some rights, there's some wrongs. Not everything goes with every cheese, and on the nuts in particular. Some people like almond, some people like cashews, other people like something as simple as a strawberry jam or a nice marmalade. So please feel free. Apple butter goes also really well. Okay.
I would actually like that cheese with a little bit of a carbonara. I think that'd be a really good addition.
Grated on carbonara.
Very good.
That would be
Very, very
kind of
cold.
nice. Because it does have the saltiness, it does have the fat. So I think that would be kind
Carbonara
of
is
nice.
something super supplement. You can come over here and get some pasta.
Things that you can't find in the grocery store.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay.
So now the second cheese is the Oma. So the Oma is a washed round cow's milk, and this is aged in the cellar at Jasper Hill in Vermont. So
Oma has actually a little bit of history. I mean, we all grew up with watching The Sound of Music. I think I at least had to see it at least 15 times, if not more. So what's kind of interesting on the Oma, which means the grandmother, and the Von Trapp family actually, after during the Second World War, obviously, went to Switzerland and then moved eventually and settled into the Vermont region. Okay, and they bought a ski resort, and then the grandkids decided that they were missing certain cheeses from the old country, so they made this wash rind, typical Austrian wash rind cheese, and they called it the Oma, or the grandmother.
so as you can see, the paste is kind of white and it's very creamy. It's typical also, yeah. It's typical like a tone style, you see? Like you see little eyes, you can see from here. There are some, see, this one too, little eyes. So this one is washed with a salty brine. And
Time in the fridge.
thank you.
And
Yes.
So
And it's very creamy. Of course, and this one you eat the rind, all of them.
So the Oma is produced or was actually an original by Sebastian von Trapp on their family dairy in Waitsfield, Vermont. And it's an approachable wash-style Tom cheese made with organic milk, and then, of course, all from Jersey cow. And then it is aged in Jasper Hill in their caves.
So
You wanna?
yeah, so the best way to store that cheese is in paper. So of course, cheese paper. If you don't have any cheese paper, just use some parchment paper, because and especially on wash rind cheese, the rind needs to breathe. So if you don't store in a paper, I mean the plastic in plastic the rind cannot breathe, and you're gonna ruin the cheese. The cheese is gonna, especially the rind, is gonna get soggy, and of course, if it's soggy on the outside, that sogginess go through the cheese and the
It becomes ammoniated.
Yes, ammoniated, and I mean the flavor is totally off. I mean,
Totally.
totally.
And then you can get cheese paper, obviously here at Cured Whey, but you can also order it online through Formaticum. It would be one of the large producers and importers. And we use a special cheese paper that we brought in from France, specifically for the cheeses, and that makes a really big difference when you rewrap it. I would, if you have to use plastic wrap, always make sure that every time you wrap it and unwrap it, use a fresh piece of plastic wrap. Okay, so that's definitely one of the biggest things, that you always use a fresh plastic wrap and never use the same one. Okay, Jason, what do you think about the notes on this
I feel
cheese?
going from the Thomas Savoy to the you're getting a lot more savory characteristics. I'm definitely getting more like, like the bacon fat, the lard you're using. It just reminds me of, when Carne Vino was open, and they served the fresh lard with the bread.
Oh my God, yes.
The focaccia thing is amazing. You know what I mean? I kind of get a little bit of that savory character with this, and I think that matches up. I also get roasted salted nuts. There's definitely a Marcona element to this.
Very nice. The paste is soft, almost pudding-like. And I definitely enjoyed the richness of the paste. And when you take it actually and you touch it and you smell it, the flora of the outside notes, almost like a musky cave smell to it. And that's what really makes this cheese so attractive, at least to me. It's a little bit more pungent, quite a bit of flavor, deep flavors. And I think it goes really well with cured meats. It goes well with cultured butter, correct me.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I would definitely use that with that, but also with fruit. I mean, especially since it's wash rind, some nice raspberries, strawberries, what do you think?
Dried.
Dehydrated apricots,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
nectarines, any orchard fruit.
Orchard fruit.
Yeah, with you went sweet, I went savory. I was thinking totally like just some rosemary roasted potatoes, and then this melted over the top of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Oh, almost like
Yeah.
a raclette. Why
Yeah,
not?
this
Yes.
is delish.
Why not?
Add that spicy chili stuff.
Oh, that
Chili
was interesting.
crunch.
The chili crunch.
The chili
Yeah.
crunch is life changing for anybody out there that hasn't had it yet. I put it on everything. My girlfriend's
It is so
addicted to it. It is ridiculous. It's probably one of the best condiments I've ever tried. But
It is beautiful.
putting it on cheese
Here we go.
is great.
It comes in a nice oily paste. So this is kind of really interesting. It's basically roasted garlic with chili paste, produced by All Natural Crunchy Chili Crunch. Now it sounds like a commercial.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
guys.
But it is honestly
It is
so
like-
good.
It's really excellent on different ingredients. On your salad, it goes really well with steak. I would even recommend it on eggs, fish.
Yes.
It's really nice.
Grilled cheese sandwiches.
Grilled cheese sandwiches. Oh my God. Yes, a grilled cheese
Yeah,
sandwich.
it is.
With
though.
sliced
Yeah.
potatoes on that?
Yeah.
Okay, quick shout out
That
to
could be the special this week.
that would be kind of cool. With
Tomorrow?
the ciabatta bread,
Oh, yeah.
sliced
Friday.
Next
potatoes.
Friday, you can get the one.
Okay, so let's do it Friday the week. We do oven roasted sliced potatoes with rosemary, the chili crunch. We're gonna melt the oma on top and just gonna make it really nice and
That's
crispy.
beautiful.
Maybe what kind of meat can we put with that?
Maybe for a little
Speck
smoke.
for the smokiness.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And of course,
Okay.
speck also produced in Austria, in the Alto Adige region, right between Italy and Austria. Somebody has speck? We have speck. Yeah, we have speck.
Eating speck.
Yeah,
Everybody's eating speck.
Everybody has
loves
speck.
speck.
Yeah.
Huh? Speck is also called, just on a side note, speck is also called the other prosciutto. So when you take the bone out and you open up the piece of meat, the two side flaps, you actually take off, and that is what's used for the speck. It's produced mostly in the Bolzano region, in the Alto Adige region, Bolzano. Wonderful Recula is a producer, Sefner is a producer. And that's kind of really nice. Raclette cheese, obviously, we have Swiss raclette, we have French raclette. We're still,
Will that melt? Yes.
will this what?
Will melt.
Will it melt? Yes, it will melt very nicely, actually. And will give really nice flavor, and it goes right into the crust itself if you melt it on something. Yes,
Yeah.
it will melt.
Yeah. So in fact, that cheese is pretty similar to Reblochon, the Délice de Jura. So the Délice de Jura or the Reblochon is used in the recipe that we call tartiflette. So the tartiflette, you put the cheese over potatoes and petit salé and onion and cream, and you let it melt. So it will make exactly the same way. So I encourage you to do.
We just actually made for last week on Friday.
Yes, that
We
was our
just
treat.
made, yes, we just made a nice 200 handful of, everybody was complaining and they wanted me to go ahead and cook. So we made a nice tarte fillet with the Delice de Jura. Delice de Jura is, of course, in the United States. Since Rabouchan, it's not pasteurized. We have to import the Delice de Jura into the US. But it is just as good as the real Rabouchan. A little bit less on the fat, but it melts really nice into the tarte fillet. Okay. Just a quick shout out. Happy anniversary, Juliet, and Adam. And we also have today a birthday with Carrie Moore. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday! Cheers!
To your health, to your health. Everybody, cheers.
Cheers!
Cheers.
We all took our temperature before we sat down.
Oh, yeah.
We've been tested. Filled out a little survey.
I think one thing that, like, we were thinking about a wine, like, how do you match a wine to 5 cheeses, and 5 fresh cheeses from all different parts of Europe. I think there's a typicity between all the cheeses and how the wine matches up with that. And I think that is the roundness or the creaminess you're going to get with the cheese and the herbal factor.
Yeah.
And you're going to see that herbal note. Mourvedre is very, very aromatic. This is like peonies and rose petals and violets. It's it's a very pretty wine on the nose. And the structure really comes from the body, and that roundness and that creaminess kind of complements all of it. So that's something you'll see throughout the tasting, even though there's some subtle differences on each one.
I also feel that, what do you think other wines would be good with this particular cheese? I mean, the first thing I was thinking of, obviously, would be then an Austrian green bikini.
Gruner is going to be phenomenal. You're going to get a lot of asparagus and white pepper and vegetal notes, leeks and so forth on a lot of these cheeses. I feel like, as we talked about Bandol earlier, it's going to be great. Certain Paso wines. We talked about only having one wine on this cheese platter this time, but we're tasting another wine too. I'm sure you are at home if you need more than a few ounces. And there's so many different directions you can go in. I would say if you're going to go on the white, a Gruner is going to be great. Something like an Albarino would be an excellent choice as well. Maybe one or two might match up well with a Riesling. There's so many different wines out there. Ferment from Hungary. Try the wines. Taste it. You know what I mean? Croatia, Slovenia, South Africa. Chenin Blanc. There's so many options and so many different directions you can go in. There's no absolutes. And it's depending on the way you're tasting that day, depending on so many different variables, you can go in so many different directions. But I would say the fresh wines, I would pair on a red something a little bit aromatic, pretty, that's got some texture and some roundness.
Okay, what about a beer? What do you think about a nice beer, like a double bock, a Dumpel, even a Pilsner?
I think
Yep.
this
Kolsch.
for sure.
A Kölsch, yeah, absolutely.
No doubt about this.
Yeah.
Schoenrummer Pils right now I'm thinking about. I could die for one right now.
Oh, that would be good. Trummelbach, that would be kind of nice.
Rodenbach Grand Cru.
Yeah.
Do something with a little bit of berry note to it. Framboise would go great with any of these cheeses.
A Belgian double hill, a double style hill. What do you think?
That seems too sweet
Too sweet?
to me.
But everybody has their own
Yeah.
palate.
Yeah, no,
that's why you
absolutely.
can't never judge. You can never, you have conversations and you talk about things, and there's there's similarities and ways you can go with tastings and suggestions. But the reality is, we're all, we all have our own taste buds, and we're all at different levels of tasting. We all like certain things. So drink and eat what you like with what you're drinking.
Yeah, I grew up in the kitchen, and it was always in the old classical kitchen that you have a red wine with beef, you have a fish, you have a white wine with a fish. What was the wine with blue and sharp cheese? Jason, that's something for you to answer.
So someone asked, how does the wine pair with blue cheese or sharp cheeses? We're gonna hit a blue cheese on the last one, a Bavaria Blue from Germany. It's kind of like a brie, but infused with penicillin. It's pretty dynamite. This is my first time I've ever had it. I was pretty shocked how delicious it was. Blues can be a little bit aggressive. This is definitely this is a way for someone to go from their classics of just liking Cabernet. This is an outreach to go to a different wine varietal. This blue, if you hate blue cheese, and you taste this and you didn't know, you would love it. It's that delicious. Sharp cheeses, yeah, 100%. This wine, like I said, transcends a lot of different categories. Pecorino, Parmesan. Absolutely. Take a little Parmesan, beet vinegar, to taste this wine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about Bavarian. Yeah, we're going to talk about Bavarian Blue later on. I actually, it was kind of funny. When I grew up in Germany, this cheese was actually, but we get to that later. We're getting off track. So
that's never happened.
Never happened before, right? Okay, sorry, I always go off track. The next cheese is Canna de Cabra, produced and imported by Forever Cheese. It's goat's milk, Montasio produced, that is just Canna de Cabra, very similar to the Bûche de Signon from France. Also Bûcheron, one of my favorite ones. It's produced in the Murcia region. And so definitely very light, creamy, aged about 21 days, buttery, delicious. And so, yeah, obviously it has a really nice velvety outside. And as you can see right now, it's just starting to ripen from the outside to the center.
This one is really hard to cut, but so the easiest way is to slice it like this. And then you cut it like, little pie. So you make it little triangles. There you go.
Somebody was just asking in regards of what goes with cheese. And again, there is no right or wrong. What is your flavor palette? What do you enjoy? Do you enjoy dried fruit, fresh fruit? Do you enjoy nuts? Do you enjoy marmalades and compotes? So we had one time a cheese board that we even made with gummy sharks. Okay, so I mean, why not? That was actually a fun board with the gummy sharks.
Yeah.
So,
I would pair it with, the honey is always good, Sometimes if you think that goat cheese are too goaty for you, you just pair it with honey and it serves down the goatiness of the cheese. Or you could use some thick compote or fresh fig too when it's in the season. You could put pretty much all kinds of dry fruit, some herbs. You could also add a little bit of olive oil if you like it. Yes, on fresh bread, and this is just amazing.
I have a question, as you look at this and the color, can you explain where this is going? Obviously, you see it a lot brighter and light. As you go toward the center, the outside has this kind of like tan or beige hue, and then you've got the line.
Yeah. So this cheese, in fact, the paste very creamy. The paste in the middle is more dense, and then it gets more creamy, and when it gets more aged, it could be even more creamy.
So that little area on the top will eventually transcend toward the middle.
Yes.
It will go right towards the center. Right there you can see you have this really nice velvety outside. Then you start here the nice creaminess now. This is the stage that you want a goat cheese.
How long
definitely.
would you say it took to get to this level? And at what level would you say, or let's say half? Like,
Well,
Um,
when you look at
Are
this
there-
right now, this one is actually, quite honestly, this one is actually right at the edge. I would say you have about 2 more weeks on this particular cheese, and then it just the outside gets too pungent, too strong, too goaty, and it will turn people off. Then, okay, so you would need too much of a sweet to offset. And once the goat cheese, I mean, once it gets too goaty, you don't want that. And yes, I always enjoy the outside rind because when you look at it, that velvetiness of the outside, when you, and I gotta touch it now with my hands, please don't tell me. Okay, you see how it's really, it makes dense in it. Okay, cheese is alive, okay, and the outside rind is a penicillium rind, and as it ages, it gets more funky and velvety. When you touch it, you have the finger imprints on it, and it just is an absolute. For me, it's a wonderful flavor that adds it to the cheese. So I always eat the rind with that. Never enough fun.
Going back to the question that was asked earlier about how do you know what to pair with your cheeses? Both me and Jamie both make a smorgasbord. Try, if you don't like it, try something different.
I think
If you
that's-
like that, try some more.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's the fun in it. Like, you really get, that's the best way to learn, I feel.
What
Like,
is right, what is wrong? There is
Yeah.
no really right or wrong. It's about your flavor. It's about your mouthfeel, your flavor. How much stimulation can you take? Am I right?
and of course, back to the when the cheese is too aged. When I would say in France, I mean not on the boucheron, but we have another type of cheese that we call the little crottin. It's a little round cheese, and it could get very aged, and it could be all green, and we still eat it. We just love it. It's
The flavor.
yeah, the
of
flavor
cheese.
is so the flavor of course is getting more strong, but that's for us. I mean, the best way to eat it. So we eat the goat cheese from very fresh to very old, and of course with the rind and with everything.
mhm.
What do you like on the flavor notes when you enjoy the wine along with the cheese? What do you
well,
think?
on this one, I got a little bit more tanginess. We got some deep wood mushrooms, like Canada woods. I feel like this is like portobello mushrooms.
Nice
Right.
porcini,
Yeah,
Yeah,
porcini,
nice
some great match. I feel like-
chanterelle would be kind of nice with
Yeah.
that. I think this one would actually, if you take it right now, and you would just make a nice sauteed chanterelle dish where you just take shallots, saute the onions, saute the shallots, take in some fresh chanterelle or a mixed mushroom, and you toss that, and then just take some of that cheese, either melted in, or when it's a little bit like right now, you can actually grate it in there. I think it would give it a really nice funkiness to that.
Just a side note, but I found out today that Louisiana is the largest producer or exporter of shallots in the world.
You're,
Yeah,
you're right.
I had no idea.
Yes. Also, what's nice, Louisiana, thanks to Chef Carlos Dia, a few years ago, he had me when he was still chef at Commander's Palace, and we're talking now 18, 19 years ago, 20, whatever. Chef Carlos, thank you very much. Brought to my attention that for a very short time span, Louisiana has this kind of a pink chanterelle that he put me on when I was still doing chanterelles or mushrooms in general. He put me in a wild goose chase to find these chanterelles because they have only a 6 to 8 week growing season between June, July, and they're just absolutely fantastic. They're a pink chanterelle that is just so pleasant and so incredible. So we brought it in 2 to 3 weeks in a row for him, and that was interesting. So that would be
Yeah, I
kind
do
of nice.
remember it on the video Commanders special at some point. But puckleberries are only around for 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Another note on this cheese, this is very, very close to where this wine is actually produced. This is Murcia, this is the next closest town to Alicante. North from there, like I said, we go to Valencia, which is where Paella is from. Also a neat little festival. If you like the 4th of July and Mardi Gras, you gotta go to Las Fallas. It would be like combining both of those times. You've got kids throwing fireworks everywhere, and then at the end of the day, they burn all the floats in the middle of the streets that are about 10 feet wide. It's an epic experience. I would have to say, if you were to go visit that region, start in Barcelona, hit Valencia, go down to Alicante, hit Murcia, and then finish in Granada. And you see really the difference in cultures and the architecture and the fact that the Moors, and the Romans and the Savoys and
The
the
influence.
Barbars. There's so many people. Like these are port cities that were taken over by century after century after century that just developed the food and wine culture that you see nowadays that we're all able to enjoy.
Okay, so this again was Cana de Cabra, obviously produced on the Spanish side of the border in Murcia, and typical goat cheese, very nicely aged right now. It's a little right there. I would say in another 2 weeks and it will be over, but I think it's the flavor with the bread and everything right now is absolutely spectacular.
Oh, just by itself, that texture is just so yummy.
Yeah, well, it's definitely is goaty. I mean,
Yeah.
it definitely is goaty. I
I
wish.
wish lover to that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wish you could be all here and we could talk so we could get your feedback because everybody has a different palate, and that's what makes it so interesting. Enjoying all that together in this community. So also, yeah, good. All right,
Bueno.
On to the next.
Oh.
on to the next.
So the next is the fleur de maquis.
Yeah, just
This
gonna go
one,
ahead and shoot it over to you.
Okay,
Oh,
right,
but-
maybe. Okay, so the switch. Oh,
Okay.
let's do that.
The one thing about the Fleur de Maquis, don't be afraid. I know that right now this cheese looks really scary. Believe it or not, this cheese still has another 4 weeks before it's even ripe. Right now, Caroline is actually getting the case, so you can actually see it. This Fleur de Maquis came in on our last big shipment of French cheeses.
So that's
So when you look at the date right over here, it says 10/5/20. So obviously European date, day, month, year. So this would be May 10th. Okay, so it's just now starting to develop. It is very, and I'm sorry I touch it now, it is still nice and soft, very similar to the Oma. Obviously, of course, different cheese at all. You like one?
Yeah.
Okay. Different milk. Okay, so cow's milk versus sheep's milk, typical Corsican cheese. So that's what it looks right now in the case. And it really has just absolutely all the aromas, the flavors that are just absolutely spectacular. The mold.
Yeah.
Mold on cheese is natural. Okay, so cheese goes through a molding process. When I think back to when my mom and my grandmother, when we had cheese at the house and it would become moldy, grandma would always just say, just cut it off. Okay, but cheese and mold is a natural occurrence. Okay, it has, because cheese is alive. Okay, cheese shares the same aspects as the fermentation as wine or beer or bread. So mold is natural on cheese.
So of course on this cheese you eat the rind, and I would say that's the best part. That's the part with all the herbs, the thyme, the rosemary, the juniper. Juniper, yeah,
Juniper,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
I don't pronounce it on the right way. And so you see that contrast, that beautiful white paste with all the herbs on the outside, and that cheese is just, so don't be scared, just eat the rind, eat everything, and you'll be very surprised how good is that cheese. Here you go. I'm going to share where that is.
See how nice and soft it is
Yes,
right now? Oh
yes.
my God.
So now it's at this
What
best.
rind would you say would be the only ones not to eat? Hard cheese?
I mean,
I would
the
say
wax.
when you have
Yes.
a cloth
Like
bound
for, us,
cheese.
for those of us that don't really, have, some proficiency of knowing what you're eating or tasting, when you're talking about soft cheeses, hard cheeses, and so forth, like when do you eat the rind? When do you not eat the rind?
Well, for us Europeans, we eat it normally all the time.
Yeah.
I think the
So-
only preference that I have with that is when it's a cloth bound cheddar. Okay, and when it's a cloth bound cheddar and you have that
So the cloth band is more. It's
fabric taste.
yeah, it's the fabric, and sometimes they put lard, sometimes they put butter around. So I mean, so the taste is very. It's I don't know the difference between the paste and the rind. It's too pungent. I mean, the flavor is totally off. You cannot get the nice flavor of the cheese. But how could I explain that? So I would say, the rind, I would say it's up to you. In France, we usually eat the rind, but it depends. For example, if you take the Gruyere, I don't eat the rind of the Gruyere. It's very thick. It's like a cardboard. You don't want to do that to yourself.
No,
Just-
it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
definitely
yeah.
on a Gruyere and
Yeah.
Emmental, a waxy rind.
Yeah.
I don't like on a Gouda the waxy rind
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Same
it
thing
makes
with
it
the
kind of
Gouda.
hard.
Yeah.
Okay, but even on a Beaufort, I mean, if it's a young Comté, I would enjoy the rind on a young Comté, the same on a young Beaufort, but I would not eat the rind on an aged 48 months Comté. I mean, it would be about the same as eating rind of a Parmesan that's aged 36 months, 24 months, or
Yeah.
even 60 months.
But
Okay.
also, I mean, the big difference with the rind of the Parmigiano, I mean, you could keep the rind and cook with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't do that with an Emmental. I mean, with like the very aged Swiss type
Yeah.
or Alpine style.
Alpine
cheese.
style
Yeah.
cheese. Yes, absolutely. And all these cheeses are also wash rind along with that. So it's definitely something that is very interesting, but I would not eat those types of rinds.
So I mean, to be simple, I would say all the soft cheeses, I mean soft ribbon, like the brie style, like the velvety, you could eat the rind.
Wow.
Well, and then all the wash rind, like the Oma, you could eat the rind. Sometimes on the wash rind they get a little grainy, but that's normal. That's okay. Don't think the cheese is bad or the grainy comes with the process of the cheese.
Okay. I would
Yeah.
like you to try right now the cheese. Take a piece of the center of the cheese
Uh-oh.
and then take the rind of the cheese and literally just smell it. Just smell the rind, the center of the cheese. Even on the inside, you already get the notes of the different herbs, but it's very predominantly on the outside. And when you taste it, the flavor of the typical herbs of Corsica or the Mediterranean, the rosemary, the juniper, the oregano, are represented on the notes. Correct.
So of course, I mean, fleur de maquis. Why the cheese called fleur de maquis? Fleur is the flower, and maquis it's the terroir in Corsica. So terroir is very important because I mean that's a sheep's milk, and the sheep are actually in the maquis, just grazing. So the milk has already that flavor, of those herbs. And of course, if you put more of the herbs, you get that beautiful cheese. I mean, all that flavors, from the outside goes in the paste.
Also, obviously, over here in the United States, we know it as fleur de maquis, which is in a round form. Okay, the cheese is known mostly in Europe as brin d'Amour, and it's almost like a square with lightly rounded edges or corners. And obviously, one is pasteurized, the other one is unpasteurized. So, since we can't get the unpasteurized brin d'Amour over here, we're working with the fleur de maquis. But again, it's the same milk, it is just pasteurized, and it has this absolutely incredible flavor. We do have a picture. If you go online to Wikipedia, would be a great source, and look up the pictures of fleur de maquis and brin d'Amour. It will show you the different ages of when it's brand fresh, coming right out of the creamery. Then it has that light mold to it, and even now getting kind of real funky with the mold on the outside. Sometimes when you open it up, depends on your refrigerator. Sometimes the mold, if you set them on the board, it will get up to this tall. Okay, and then slowly at the end of the cheese, towards its end, it's usually reducing the mold again. The age of the cheese, how long is this cheese good for? Well, this cheese was produced roughly about 10 weeks ago. Okay, so it literally has a lifespan of almost 2.5 months, almost. Okay.
And of course, this cheese, to keep it longer, please wrap it in paper. Don't wrap it in plastic.
Even if you just go to the, if you don't have cheese paper at home, go to the store and get regular parchment paper. I think parchment paper would be kind of okay on that. That was
Yes.
a cute little hiccup.
Yeah.
We're not getting drunk yet. I'm just kidding.
Not yet.
So I wish I could talk to you directly in person and face to face to get your feedback, your flavor notes. Jason, what do you like, what you don't like on this cheese?
I mean, yeah, stuff not to like anything. This herbs de Provence is kind of what I get out of this. It is, like Bondol was talking about in the Rhone Valley. It's the same kind of regionality you're going to get in Alicante, and I think the crust on this, the juniper berries, the fennel and the rosemary that they're aging this wine in, really showcases where you can get the herbal reach from wine. A lot of, it's tough, you smell this, you're like, oh, I'm just getting berries. I'm getting huckleberries, mulberries, boysenberries, blueberries, blackberries, stuff like this. What else am I getting out of this? How can I really justify what I'm tasting and how it can be relevant in the wine? When we really start to look at this, there's an herbal note to this wine. This, when we had tasted earlier, we tasted before, this was the wine pairing that I said, hey, I like this the best with the wine. Right? It's my personal thing. Everybody has, their own. But I thought this herbal note to this wine, the texture and the creaminess, in addition to it, I thought this wine was the most complex. The cheese was the most complex, which really suited the wine.
So of course, I mean, that cheese, it's typical of the Mediterranean terroir.
Yes.
So of course, when you
it's
talk
Corsica,
about Bondon,
It's
yes,
Rome.
it's
Alicante. You're talking,
Mediterranean, yes.
Mediterranean climate. There's herbs, there's salinity, there's savory notes, there's cured meat. The regional cuisine matches up with the regional wine.
Yeah.
This is, I always say, American Cabernet. What do you pair with it?
One of
American steak.
Yeah, one of my favorite memories was going down to the southern part of France. We're going on vacation, and we got a late start. We came from Switzerland. We went Geneva, through the mountains, right over into France, and then coming down, and it was just getting total sunset. we had the top open on our Jeep as we're driving into the valley, and all of a sudden, the whole aroma of the whole air just changed. It became this incredible aroma of rosemary, oregano, these herbs that are indigenous to this beautiful area of the southern part of France. And that is exactly what I feel, which represents this particular cheese.
Yes.
So,
Sorry.
no, please, ladies first.
Okay, so I was saying because I mean, this cheese is from southern France. What are you pairing with? You're pairing it with all the charcuterie we have.
Salami.
Yeah, the salami, the prosciutto. I mean
Rosetta Leon.
olives.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean olives. Everything we we could, I mean, saucisson. I mean, saucisson. That's the French name for salami. But that's the first thing we do for a snack or before eating. We're doing that and cheese, and we're good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Someone had asked if there was spice or pepper, and
Yeah.
it didn't note if it was the cheese or the wine, but both, for sure,
Yeah.
100%. The wine definitely has a black pepper note to it, and the cheese is definitely more of a pink peppercorn. And I think the next question.
The next question that we had was actually to
it
go
sheep's or cows?
back, yes.
It's cool.
So we actually had a cow's milk, and then again, the Oma was cow's milk. We went into the goat cheese. No, hold on.
No.
Tom.
So Tom was first. So Tom first was cow. The second one was the Oma, and this is cows too. Then we had the goat cheese, the Cana de Cabra. Then sheep's milk with the Fleur du Maquis, and the last one is back to cow's milk with the Bavaria bread.
I mean, you also have to think about when you're talking about pairings, like where are the wines grown, and where are the cows grazing? And that makes a difference when you're talking
Big
about
difference.
style. Like terroir with grapes is the same with cheese. When these ewes or when these cows, sheep, so forth, when they're what are they being fed? Are they naturally grazing? Are they, what do they love to eat in that valley? And these things
I think
transcend into the
into the milk. Yes, I mean a lot of cheese makers use the milk from the region, or even look at specific milk that they're looking forward to. And I'm going to throw this out right now. When Rolf Case, the three brothers came over here, they were traveling through the United States for several years before they finally found in Monroe, Wisconsin, this milk that was very similar to what the family was using in Switzerland to make Gruyere cheese. So Rolf Case was actually the first one in the United States that was using a copper kettle to actually, legally licensed copper kettle, to actually make a Gruyere style cheese in the United States. Okay, there was characters that they were looking for in the milk, and that's where they found the notes, was in Monroe, Wisconsin. So it's very interesting when you look what the farmers are looking for in the milk and what type of cheese they're producing with the milk. Okay, I mean, obviously, this one is a cheese from Corsica, which has a lot of influence of Tuscany, okay, but also from the southern part of France. Okay, so it's a combination going back to the Fleur de Maquis. So it typically represents most countries. So it represents the southern part of France very well, but also Tuscany, okay, because this one would be a very similar cheese to, there's two cheeses, and sorry, my age shows I forgot the names of them, but to a cheese that I enjoyed while I was in Tuscany. High mountain pastures. Exactly, high mountain pastures, which also is interesting. When you look at the mountains of Corsica, okay, the mountain ranges go from 500 to 1,000 meters. Most of the milk is produced up in the mountains. Okay, it was a couple of reasons. One, obviously everybody liked Corsica because of the climate, But there was also very dangerous, so that's why a lot of the farmers and the settlements were up in the mountains as a natural protection, because every time they settled down by the beach somewhere, they were attacked. Okay, so that's why they moved up into the mountains and started producing the cheeses up there. And this is a typical representation of that. I can't get over how good it smells right now.
I was gonna say
That's my
earlier
favorite.
before I got interrupted.
They're all good.
Times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Between this, the Oma,
Oh, oh,
okay, and
I
the
will-
last one. I'm sorry, what?
Attention whore.
Sorry.
Anyway, what I was gonna say,
Right.
I know, right? What I was gonna say is,
Turn it.
I want to be, if reincarnation is a thing, and if it is, I would love to be this sheep that's grazing, eating, and enjoying some wine, because
Cow.
this is health.
No,
Be the
she-
cow.
she-
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I
Alright.
would love to be this, just in this little herd, eating, grazing, enjoying my solitude, being alone, and
Live
drinking
a
wine.
simple life.
And with the wine too, the flower, the floral notes come through so much brighter, and the pepperiness. Once you drink the wine with the cheese, you get those pepper notes as well. It does kind of become a little bit spicy, not too much,
Like
just a
asparagus and
little bit.
bok choy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really green vegetables.
Yeah, it's delicious.
I just enjoy the flavor
Very
that
joyful.
leaves in my mouth
Yeah.
between the wine and the cheese. Okay, it's
I
very
think this is star pairing, but
Yeah.
everybody has their favorites.
Exactly.
yes.
And that's why if you like it, you eat it. If you don't, you don't.
Yes,
Are we getting
good.
into it?
All right.
Okay.
So-
Grab it over here so it will be easy to cut for me.
Now we're gonna go ahead and go into the Bavarian Blue. So 1972, this cheese was founded by Berg Ader in Allgäu, by Kempten, southern part of Germany, very close to the Swiss and the Austrian border. I was roughly about 12 years of age, and we went and got a tour. We were in southern in Kempten on a small farm that was actually producing the milk for this cheesemaker, and we got to go and with the farmer to the cheesemaker, and we got a tour of the plant. And they had just released this particular cheese about 10, 12 days prior of before we were there. So it was really, for me, this cheese is one of my favorites. And back then, everybody was laughing at me because I actually liked blue cheese. So I was the only one out of, 25 boys and a couple of chaperones that actually liked this cheese. And we literally rode in the back of the tractor and the trailer and went down 20 miles from the farm into the city to drop off this milk. And we just had a blast doing that. So that's why I enjoy this cheese in particular. When you look at the notes, it's a cow's milk and a triple cream produced by Berg Ader. And enjoy that and take a bite and just smell it.
So of course, in that cheese, you eat the rind. It's in fact that cheese. I would say it's a mix. I mean, it could be. I mean, at first it could be like a double cream brie. This is
Triple-
not a triple cream
triple
brie.
cream
Sorry, a triple cream brie that they put some blue mold inside. So I mean, the base of the cheese is a triple cream brie. So it's very creamy, and the blue is just very mild. I mean, it's not that the blue is overpowered. It's just a nice balance on the two.
What's really nice on this particular cheese, the older it gets. I mean, obviously we have Cambazola, which would be the sister cheese to this, but not quite because it's produced by a different cheesemaker, by Champignon, versus Berg Ader. Berg Ader means the vein of the mountain, actually translated. But this one is a triple cream, and when you cut it into it, the older it gets, the darker the green
Yeah.
mold gets. Okay. Also, when you cut into it when it's very young, it starts out as a very light green mold that's kind of a bluish hue, has a bluish hue to it, and changes then into a very dark green
Yeah, and,
when you cut into it and it oxidizes.
yeah, and that's it's the reason because the cheese needs to breathe, and when it's in contact with the air, it's just turning a little more blue. That's
Yeah.
that's the reason why.
Butter.
How did you
Yeah.
get the honey for that?
You want some?
Darn! No, I'm fine.
Who wants honey? I knew we had blue on the board, so I wanted some honey
So,
with it.
so as you could tell, honey pairs very well with blue cheese. And she knew that, but you could have shared with us.
I knew somebody would notice. But no, this is like butter.
Yeah.
I want this just on bread. It's so good.
Again, when you try the cheese, take a bite of the cheese and then literally swirl the cheese, the wine around in your mouth and take notes.
Thank you.
What do you like? What you don't like? Okay, and make a note of that. And next time we see you, please let us know your likes and dislikes of the different cheeses. It's very important that you find the cheeses that you like. I cannot tell you. I can only suggest to you on the cheese what we have, and we can walk you through. And please, that's what it's all about. When you come to Cured Whey, please feel free to ask for samples. When we're back to normal business, ask for samples. Okay, because only that way I want you to enjoy what you buy, not just taste and here it is, you got a piece of cut cheese. Okay, so when we're back to normal, then I would definitely recommend come and eat your way through it. You wanna talk about-
No, but just please bring us where we got the bread from. It's so delicious.
The bread comes from Pizzeria Manzu. Okay, Gio just came up with this bread. Actually, we were going back and forth. He made this bread and he asked me my ideas because we were talking one day about it of a nice ciabatta for the Italian sandwich. And he actually made it because I love his bread, the big 1 kilo loaf. And even now he has a new one, which is a half a kilo. Just delicious. And he also made this particular ciabatta, and I just fell in love with it. I think it goes really well with the cheese curds. But Pizzeria Manzu, say hi to Gio when you see him, and introduce yourself where you found it, or tell him where you found it or heard about it. You can also pre-order your bread. Just call them. You can pre-order it. All right, dark chocolate and blue cheeses. Chocolate in general, in particular, I think that's a very unique flavor mixture. We were playing with that actually a year ago when we had just cheese boards with blue cheese chocolate. Thank you, Diana Breyer, for that. Okay, she introduced us to this, and I think it's one of our favorites. Blue cheese and dark chocolate, blue cheese and milk chocolate. In general, okay, try it and sample it. Okay.
Again, there's no wrong or right answer for what you share with me.
Well, the thing I like to drink with my blue cheese is port wine. I love port wine and blue cheese too.
Port Madeira,
Yes,
cherry,
yes.
sherry.
Yeah.
Really nice.
So for me, that's the best combination ever. And of course, I mean, bread, blue cheese, and port wine. I know there's a lot of people in trend with the blue cheese with nice French butter. So they put French butter first, the blue cheese on the bread, of course.
they eat that with red wine. So this one
Right now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, I just think like, knowing Michael for a little while, as well, the team here, and, they're focused on the whole slow food, and, where do you get your products from? What are your products eating? You gotta think about them, and then translate it to yourself. If these cows are eating, free range, eating some of the best grass you could possibly eat, it translates to some of the best cheeses. The wine as well, when someone is caring and talking about, sustainability, organic, and it's very expensive for a winemaker to become certified. They're working through the processes at the moment, but 99% of winemakers care about the ratings. It's the end result. So the wine, the cheese, the food, everything you consume, what we do on a day-to-day basis, whether you go to the farmer's market, on Fridays in Cary Clasby, or the small markets, around town, in Summerlin and Henderson. These are the people that we need to support. People that are growing, vegetables in Moapa and in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can't source it locally, understandably, not everything grows and lives here, but think about what you're buying, what you're putting in your body.
It makes a huge difference of when you see on what's happening and the movement that we have right now. And right now it's a really good example. Not to bash, not to bash different things, but I think it's very important that you know where your product, your food comes from. Where is it sourced? Who is the producer? I just talked yesterday with a lot of my cheese producers, Shalina and Willie from Four Fat Fowl in upstate New York. I talked to Deborah Dickinson and Emily from Cowgirl Creamery. I talked to Robert and Birgit from Muku in regards of the supply chain. I mean, you have the farmers right now. You're probably watching the news. You hear a lot of farmers dumping milk. Okay, right now is the time to support the cheese makers, the local cheese stores, the local producers, even the farms, the pig producer. Where do you get your chicken? Okay, no, it's not a factory farm. Go to the local butcher shop. Ask the butcher, where did you get your meat? Where did you get your product? Ask Ron. Go up to the butcher block. Ask Ron. Okay. Valley Cheese and Wine, Celine over there. Where is your wine and cheese coming from? Who's the producer? And actually, we're going to do with Valley Cheese and Wine, Celine and I, we're going to be talking about doing a collaboration in regards of wine and cheese. So you will soon see us again at Valley Cheese and Wine. So go to the producers. Right now, the biggest thing in the supply chain, we're talking about the restaurants that are right now closed. And where do the chefs get their products? Okay, it breaks my heart right now of what we're going through when I look at the restaurants. On Saturday, we were leaving here, and we were driving down the street, and we're talking about going to a restaurant and enjoying a glass of wine and some food. And it's like, wait a minute, what am I doing? What am I saying? Okay. We're all in this together. We're all going to restaurants. The chefs are using cheeses and meats from local producers. Brian Howard with Stone Wolf, Justin Kingsley, which is not open yet, with Main Street Provision, which we can't wait. Atomic, Jackson, Jamie over at Black Sheep. Support your local restaurants because that is so important. James Trees and Esther's and Ada's. Locala with Nicole. Dan Cromer, Adamama, La Moja, and Hatsumi. There's so many restaurants.
We argued for these for so long. We finally became a city that had some sort of culture and value off of the strip.
Yes, I'm not.
We all are now on the level of, yeah, we're trying to save our money too. We're trying to, figure out what the uncertainty is, but got a little, just got to check 10% of it,
Las
So-
Vegas, being a resident of Las Vegas for 34 years, I have seen the change of Las Vegas in these last 34 years. I mean, we went from a steak and potato, cheap shrimp cocktail to,
Rosemary's was it.
oh my God, Rosemary's was a godsend when it opened up. Michael Jordan
Lester Soul
was opening chef at Emerald's Fish House.
Yeah.
Okay, and then opened up Rosemary's, name of his mother-in-law's restaurant, and was the first one going away from the strip. And I'm not talking bad about the restaurants on the strip.
How many people came out of that restaurant?
All these
Think about
people.
Nick Hensel, one chef, going
Yes,
on and on.
yes. I mean, it's endless. All these
All
chefs that are now stepping away and have stepped away to open up these restaurants. Las Vegas, Gina Marinelli, Nicole Grayson at Locale, Chef Wes over and his sister, Lori at Table 34, Matt over at Serve, Forte, Nina at Forte. I mean, these are all restaurants and chefs that stepped away, okay, and took the risk to go off the strip to open up these incredible restaurants. And so seeing that, Chef Kai Wu was Mordeo and District 1. I mean, it's just endless, okay? I'm not taking away from the restaurants on the strip. And I don't want to because, I mean, this is what made Las Vegas. Steve Wynn opening the Mirage and Gustav Mahler in the old days with Spidini's. Seeing that is incredible. And seeing the change. And I look at the restaurants at Chef Josh Crane at Bouchon and Ron at Chef Ronnie at Delmonico, Matt Early over at Cut. Not seeing these restaurants right now, it really hurts me. Okay, not being there, it's very frustrating for me. So, but to get back to the supply chain, we're talking about the cheese producers. All these cheese producers need our help now because a lot of them have so much cheese. We still have orders coming in of cheeses that we placed 3, 4, and 5 months down the road that are just now coming in. Okay, we still have Comté coming in. We got Parmesan because the product needs to be produced. Then it's being shipped from a harbor.
It's 3 months.
Okay, it takes 3 months on the boat to get here, or from France. If we place our order with cheeses from France, we place the order, and then 4 weeks later, we finally receive the cheese over here. Okay, so it's a huge supply chain. When we order cheese from Jasper Hill and Saxelby in New York, Shalina from Four Fat Fowl, Old Shannon, all these cheese makers. This cheese has to be shipped in. We're trying to organize a pallet to get a truck delivered to New York or Jersey, consolidated, and then shipped to the States. So it's a huge process. And then restoring it for these cheese makers, making sure that that's why Cavarini with us, that we're doing the right thing with these cheeses to represent these cheese makers that are putting their heart and soul into this because this is their livelihood. I talked to Pat from Beehive. We're coming up with a program right now where invest into the future of a cheese, okay? And I'm talking to Pat and Tim from Beehive. They're cheesemakers up in Utah. Wonderful families, absolutely good friends of ours. Huh? Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's we're talking with him right now on making a cheese that you can buy and then you can pick it up over here in 3 months, in 4 months, in 5 months. Okay, so this is another project that we're doing right now. But all these cheesemakers need your support right now in order to move these cheeses. Okay, because like I said, this is their livelihood. I talked on the phone yesterday to my friends up at Cowbell Creamery, and they need outlets for these cheeses. They had to close for the first time ever the cheese shop down at the ferry building. Okay, so please, yes, please go to your local cheese shops. Los Angeles has some incredible cheese shops. Las Vegas has some great places to purchase cheese. Obviously, with Cured Whey and Valley Cheese and Wine. So please look at your local cheese makers. It's important.
And then a couple of you guys are asking about the shirts that we're wearing today. We have them for sale in shop. And if we don't have your size, we can get it ordered for you. And soon we'll have other shirts available as well. Yeah, they're comfy. Oh, yes, I'm wearing it. I thought that would be a good model. And there's us. Yeah.
Sure. Next cheese class that's coming up with Jason. We're just talking about it actually. And Jason, go ahead. Why don't you mention it for the next cheese class on what we're going to do?
Well, I think we were going to expand upon what we did today. We had a lot of fresh cheese that we had, things had to move, and we wanted to do something quickly and get everybody invited. It was our first webinar. Like, how do we do this? Where do we go? We do one wine. Do we want more? We kind of figured out that there was some, movement in the sense that people wanted more wine with the cheeses that they got.
Here. We need more wine.
Vice versa. You know what I mean? I brought my own bottle of Nougat, you know what I mean? I think everybody at home did as well. So maybe we'll have more options next time. When you come in or when you email, and go through April 30th, I guess, is the next class. It'll be some sort of selection that you have a choice of choosing certain cheeses and choosing wines. You can choose one wine, and we'll make it great. It'll pair up with everything. Or you can choose a wine per course, or per cheese. We're all trying to adjust during this time period. We're just hoping everybody's happy, be positive, mentally be strong. Like, at this time period, there are people that are struggling. We don't necessarily, I know there's only a few thousand people in Vegas infected. Only 140 died. These are numbers that you can just throw aside and be like, oh, look at the population, look at this, and so forth. But you don't really see it until you actually know somebody. You're kind of on that side. Maybe giving it a chance for a little bit. We're all going to make it a few more weeks, whatever it might take. Then we'll have to revisit. Maybe we need to open this. And our lives are going to be different from this point forward. There's no doubt about that. Let's make the most of it. This will pass. We're all going to be positive and hug and go to a different direction at some point. Cheers over glasses of wine and cheese. And,
this is for me and Kathy. For us being me European and Kathy and I being warm-hearted, you come over here, lady.
Kathy's the better half.
Kathy is
Of
my
Michael.
better half.
If everybody doesn't know her,
Here we go.
when
Let's
you
go.
come into the shop, ask for her.
Yes.
She loves to be called out by name.
For us, it's you guys are the important part to us. That's why Clicquot is our favorite champagne, or was actually until we tried the one from Jason. Oh yeah. But anyway, these colors. You come as a stranger, you leave as a friend.
It was good.
Okay. That's why we have communal tables. Put the phones down, talk to each other, and we cannot wait to welcome you all back here in the shop. And trust me, we will give you hugs the minute that we can do that again. Brian doesn't have to stand there with a bottle of Lysol and sanitize me every time. Okay. We miss that. We miss you coming in, and we miss seeing you, and we miss just giving hugs and saying
Here
hello.
into the package. So
Absolutely.
let's try to make this, the city bigger and better than ever.
I am so blessed, so fortunate of having all of you in our lives, of having all of you all of you in our lives and supporting us and supporting Cured Whey. And thank you so much. I am truly humbled by all of you. And thank you to keep me, allowing me to keep my staff working because this is very good to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers to all of you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers. Cheers. Thank
Be
you.
safe, be happy, be
Brian.
healthy, be good
Any
spirits.
other questions, everybody?
Sorry, Brian is hiding over here behind the camera, but somebody has to go ahead and roll this. Okay,
Yes.
so a big thank you to Brian.
Brian,
Yeah.
Jane,
Marcel,
Marcel, Kathy.
And
Miguel.
we actually have to say also, Janelle couldn't be here tonight with Marissa because, believe it or not, she injured herself. So next time you will see Janelle. Cheers to Janelle. Cheers to all of you. Thank you very much.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Have a
for coming.
great night. Thank you.
Well, is there any questions?
Oh, are there supposed to be questions? Are we done?
Yeah?
We're off?
Do we have questions? Anybody? Anybody has questions before
Maybe
we?
one, maybe we're not.
So
But honestly, yeah. Questions should what? Wine? General questions. Cheese, food.
we're still sober, so have questions for us.
Carlos.
No, there was only one bottle.
I didn't have a piece of bread.
Are you
I'm
kidding
so
me?
proud of myself.
Oh my God.
Dude, I started this stupid diet like 2 weeks before this whole thing happened. It was the worst thing that ever could have been. Like, being on a diet during this time was the worst.
There is no diet. You know what? I would give up my life.
My girl begged me one day for red velvet pizza.
Red velvet and pizza. Oh yeah. Vincent Rotello
We-
just
we-
opened up again.
Yes. Well, he was open Wednesday and Sunday.
Hmm.
But now he's open Wednesday through Sunday.
Yes.
He's not only doing his grandma, he's doing his facility.
Yes, and also please support Nick over at in Henderson
Oh,
with Palmieri with Gaetano.
Gaetano's. Oh,
Please,
yes.
please support Nick.
Oh, he's putting out some amazing stuff.
Unbelievable. My wife and I, we picked up some dinner. We set out here 2-3 weeks ago in a beautiful rainstorm, and it was just absolutely delightful.
It's sure that's great for what it is. We have so many amazing restaurants. But imagine, like, now we can put those checks that everybody just got. You know?
So,
Local.
so before we
Good.
with the class, so I would like to tell, so the next class is going to be build your own board. So we're going to have some cheeses, of course, wine.
Come on.
But
That's a good
so I'll be here with you, helping to build the board, maybe help you to how to make a nice display, like
Do you want to
nice.
go over kind of your like this, like weird, like your history? What makes you so special? Like how do you know so much more about cheese than we do?
Well,
Like, what are your certifications? And, like, how great are you? Like, what?
yeah, I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
we know. But we want you to tell everybody.
we're giving you, yes, please,
Please.
please.
These,
The
these
next
make a
class
difference.
now. Well, to be certified in cheese, it's a long process. You need to know everything in cheese. Everything, like what all the cheeses. I mean, all the cheeses from Europe, the cheeses from the United States, the pairing. All the chemistry in cheeses. I don't know all the type of milk, all the breeds, everything. So the thing is, it's overwhelmed. You have 150 questions to answer, 3 hours for that, and so when I took that test last year, there were like 1,000 persons taking that test. They only 122 passed that test. So I think by now there's only, I would say, about 1,000 to 1,100 persons certified in the entire United States. Canada included.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and I'm one of them. I know there's it was really tough, to learn about everything. I read books. Of course, when you work with cheese, you tasted all the cheese. Of course, you need to know also if there's a defect in cheeses, and I mean, and what the cheese is, why the cheese is good, why the cheese is bad, what is everything. So it's very overwhelmed that I just love my job, and I love to share with all everybody here. We're a very good team, and I'm really fortunate to work with Michael. He's amazing. I mean, everybody's here is amazing. And well, so the next class will be build your cheese board, and that's really nice because it's the fun part. You're building your own cheese board, and then you enjoy it. So, and you could do that. You will know for the next time you want to do that. So
It will be a nice package. Thank you so much.
Fair. Thank you.
We love having you on board. We love our whole team. I'm very fortunate that everybody that works for us, such a talented team that without them, I could not do it, and the shop would not exist. Okay, all these incredible people are so dedicated. From Marissa to Janelle to Maritza, Jamie, sorry, wine, no wine. Brian,
For you.
yeah, exactly. Brian, everybody. My apologies to you.
I've only been employed for like 3 weeks,
Cheers.
and the week after I got employed, all of this happened. So it's
That's right, I
okay.
You're still here.
Here,
Michael's
Here we-
still
here,
concerned about having you here.
exactly. We have
Cheers to you and
we
your
love
family at
having you.
home. Be healthy, be happy, be safe. Let's move on from this eventually. But
Yes.
at the meantime, thank you for paying attention. Thank you for sharing your home with us. And, God bless.
I hope you had a good time. I want to say I really missed you all. We all missed you. And the next class will be right here. Well, soon. Soon. Back at the station. Okay. For another video conference. But I can't wait to host you again back here at the shop. Okay. We love you all. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.